Before the episode starts, I just wanted to let you all know that the Thirsty Mage has just launched a monthly newsletter to keep you up to date on all of the important releases, news, and other helpful information from the past month. Head over to thethirstymage.com or click on the link in the episode notes to read our latest issue. You can even register your email to get a nice smartphone-friendly edition delivered directly to your device each month. Now on with the show. Greetings and welcome to The Thirsty Mage, the podcast hammering the final nails in the coffin of our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coverage. I'm your host, David Lloyd, and we've made it to the final named region of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that is Nibel. We've got a tease of the region during the opening introduction of the game, which was probably at this point about 75, 80 hours ago. So, I mean, it feels new again because it's been so long, but now we're back with the main party, and we've picked up a friend or two along the way. So, here with me for the final ride through what is likely the best game ever made at this point is fellow FFF stan, Casey Gibson.
Oh man, yeah, this game's incredible, man. It just is one of those ones where it keeps on going, and usually, right, like you just alluded to, 80 hours into a game, you sort of get to that point where you're ready to move on. Like, all right, like even if it's one of your favorite games ever, right? Usually you get that feeling like, all right, like I've had enough. I want to, there's another game in the balance I'm sort of waiting to play, but not with this one. This one really, it's sad. We're getting to the end here, and it's just sad.
Yeah, there's a definite depression that kicks in or starts to kick in around this chapter, where you start to realize the game is going to have to end at some point. And so you're almost tempted to delay the inevitable and kind of trudge through the last of the game. But, all good things must end, unfortunately. And, when you're hitting 80, 90 hours and still thirsting for more, that's a pretty good feeling, though, in the big scheme of things.
Oh, yeah. And I guess when we get more into the final part of the game, I definitely ended up taking my sweet time. I think it was I mean, I was busy when I was playing, the end of the game, but I think it was subconsciously sort of like maybe I'll just take this ending part in tiny bits to sort of savor it instead of, hammering it away in one or two sit downs. As I think you tried to do it in one, and then you realized, oh wait, this is going to take a while. Actually,
yeah. Well, definitely when going into like the final chapter, I stupidly tried to do it late at night and learn my lesson.
Won't take too long.
Yeah, there's like that extreme, and then there's Jordan who plays like 30 minutes every week.
Ugh.
So
I'm upset with Jordan.
Yeah, I'll take the long or the quick route if those are the two options.
I had a certain level of respect for Jordan, and unfortunately, it's diminished a little bit with how he's tackling Rebirth. But he is a man who does like 8 review games a week, so you got to give him a little bit of a break. But he should know to prioritize things,
Yeah, well, he's the last holdout on our staff. There's the 4 of us. 3 of us have all seen the light of doing reviews is can suck the joy out of some of the video games, and so the 3 of us have long retired now. Jordan's the final holdout. Still loving that review life. So good for him.
David's moved into the hardware review game, or at least he's trying to.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I guess with the Nibel region. So we've flown in on our tiny little Bronco.
Wee-wee.
And this region, it was funny. Like, so this region is more of a mountainous one. When you get there, it's very rocky. And the thing that jumped out to me the most, I think, early on anyway, was just how compact everything is. Like, you get in there and all of a sudden, like, the Remna Wave towers are popping up on the map, and you pretty much like walk past almost immediately the spot where you pick up your chocobo for the region. So it was kind of funny.
Chocobo too.
Oh yeah, it was funny. So like I walked right past him. I'm like, well, there's the chocobo clearly. So I'll just grab him now since I'm walking past him. And then I ended. So like one of the when you first get past the water, one of the first places you get there is the chocobo. I can't. Oh, I remember forgot the old guy's name already. He was the tutor or the teacher of Chocobo Bill, and you kind of get the backstory of what happened there with him and the parents. Oh man, it's been so long. I've already forgotten the kid's name.
I'm the absolute worst with name. Oh, the kid, not Billy. Bill's it'll come to us.
Yeah. But anyway, the whole premise is when I got there and he was like, "Oh, you got to go find the chocobo," and I'm like, "Dude, I already got the chocobo." And
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, so you've already found him?" And I thought
way
that was
ahead of you,
hilarious.
brother.
Yeah. But that didn't stop him from making me do some chocobo tasks that are there, which again just even further opened up the region and made it look like everything was pretty much in this little area. You didn't have to go too far, and it certainly helped that the chocobo was basically like a super boosted version of one where you were kind of, I guess the ability for this one was there was like a stream of water that would propel you into the air, but I basically held the button down while I was riding him because not only does it propel you in the air, but it makes you faster too. So I was
Hmm.
just like just super boost my chocobo the whole ride through this region.
And there's plenty of water. Even it works right, like with little streams, like so you can really utilize that in the majority of the exploration in the area. And like you said, it's pretty tiny little spot. From a collector's aspect, right? As we were both 100%ing each area, getting all like the nodes and all the good stuff.
Yeah.
This definitely was nice and lickety split and fast, and it was refreshing, right? In a good way, I think, because some of the zones, obviously like Corral, like you couldn't finish the proto relics until later into the game,
Mm-hmm.
so like. Even when you got it left that sort of black eye, like, I gotta,
Yeah.
like, I didn't get it, but even though you couldn't, right? But it was like, I want to get that 100% before moving.
Yeah.
So it was nice and easy. At least here, you got in and really doing, before any of the story beats, if you could pretty much bang out all of the zone info or pretty quickly. And like you said, that just having the super chocobo to get to areas pretty easily, it felt good. I think, I think it was a good, like I said, getting to the last zone, instead of giving us like a behemoth where it's double the size of every other zone and we're spending forever. I thought it was actually sort of nice to get in there sort of quick and, to the point. And, eventually when you finish that zone, obviously it's like, the culmination leading up to the very end. So it's like, it was exciting to, again, not feel like, because, right, actually, I guess when you beat the zone, actually, I guess this is when all the other quests open up, right?
Yeah, so after once you've left Nibel, then all of
Yeah.
a sudden some quests are starting to pop up. Some new quests pop up in the other regions.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, it sort of got you to that point where, like, okay, you finish it and you get excited to go to the end. However, I just remember, like, actually, they're like, hurry up, we gotta go save the world. And then the game's like, unless you want to spend 10 more hours doing some side quests, bro. And then, of course, naturally, we both went and did that.
Yeah. Well, those side quests were good though. That at least they were worth it. It would have been irritating if they were just kind of like throwaway, but I feel like most of the wrapping up at the Queen's Blood, like that was an
Ooh.
amazing wrap up, and then uh, the quests that open up are kind of like the final quest for each of the characters to kind of fill in some backstory or fill in some areas. So I have to give them props for at least it feels like the pacing of the quest stuff in Nibel was done well. Like it was like, okay, we're gonna hit them with some quests after they get out of here. So why don't we speed up the get to the story beats a little bit quicker in this region, and then yeah, hit us with some great quests right at the end just to kind of wrap up the experience.
Yeah, and then as far as Nibelheim in general, man, like I think you sort of hit the nail on the head when you said we've got to see it beforehand. But it was right the very, very, very first bit of the game we play, which obviously, we've been doing everything, so it was 80 hours, give or take. But even if you were just sort of mainlining it and not really doing side quests, I mean, it's still probably 40 hours ago that,
Yeah.
you've been in this area. So, and now you sort of, you don't have to do the slowest walk of all time,
Yeah.
which
That's
is
right.
which is a good thing. You're able to explore, and it's funny, right? It's crazy that obviously, like, Cloud is like, I saw this place burn down, and they just rebuilt it and made it like a
Exact replica.
yeah, and they were like, all right, we're gonna use this as sort of like a Mako rehab center, essentially, right? Where like
Yep.
all of the robed people we've been seeing throughout the game is sort of, there's a huge contingency here because they're all sort of getting treatment, or so they say they're getting treatment. Who knows if they're actually really helping them or not? The way Shinra is. But yeah, it's. I mean, I feel like Nibelheim is one of those ones, obviously from the original game, you remember really strongly, right? Like the water tower in the middle of the town and everything. So like, it's just really awesome to see it fully fleshed out, looking amazing. You play Queen's Blood against the one robed guy who doesn't speak, but like the doctor or the nurse or whatever, she's like, yeah, he loves Queen's Blood, and then
Yeah.
and then you end up playing against him, which is, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. There's some pretty neat interactions there. Like their initial kind of disgust at, like, what did these buggers do? They rebuilt the whole thing, which was funny to me because it's like, what? How did Shinra know exactly what was going on and all of the like? It seems like even for like inside of houses, like you would think like, okay, maybe they had pictures to look at the outside, but the fact that they nailed the inside of the houses was kind of creepy.
Yeah, how did they know Tifa had the piano in her room?
Yeah,
How do they
exactly.
know that?
Yeah, yeah. There's some weirdness going on there that will be an unexplained mystery for forever. But
Until part 3, where somehow they actually do like explain it in some random little tiny
yeah,
alt thing you didn't
yeah,
even know about. You're like, geez, man, they think of everything.
yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. I like when they get there too. So all the characters split up, and you can kind of go around and have the one-on-one interactions. And my favorite was easily Aerith, because so she goes up to the water tower, kind of like Cloud and Tifa did back in the day. And you can even kind of see when Cloud goes up there initially, he's kind of like thrown back, like, "Oh, it's you, not Tifa, in this spot." And then uh, I guess it would probably depend on how the relationship is going at this point, because when I went up there, Aerith was joking around with like, "Oh, I bet you come up here to spy on Tifa," because it was like right at her window or whatever.
Yeah.
And I personally chose the option that was like, "Yeah, of course," and it got Aerith so mad that she told me she wanted to be alone.
Well, I forget my exact interaction, but I know this is chapter 11,
Yeah,
and chapter 12 is the big date scene in the Gold Saucer, right?
yeah.
Anyone who's played the original knows like that's a hyped up moment. So at this point, I was still trying to be mean to Aerith because I needed to ensure that we got the good date. But yeah, I do love that. I think I actually sent you a clip. It's earlier in the game. I forget exactly where, but you are riding around. I believe it's in the buggy, and Yuffie's like joking about
Oh
making
yeah,
clones, because yeah, this must have been right after the Johnny clone quest or
yep.
something around those lines. And then Tifa's like, "Oh, we could make like clones of Tifa. You'd like that, Cloud, wouldn't you? Like nudge, nudge."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "You pervert."
Yeah.
So I do like that all the characters aren't afraid to sort of rustle as jimmies about Tifa.
Yeah. Especially funny coming from Yuffie too, because she's kind of like a clearly younger than the rest of them, and for even her to jab it was kind of like the final, like, sticking it to Cloud, because like if even Yuffie's making fun of you with Tifa, that's hilarious.
Good old Yuffie, dude. I mean, I know we've sort of harped on how great the characters and the writing and the voice act, like the whole kit and caboodle, but I feel like Yuffie, like, to me, obviously in the original run, like I'd say really the four main characters, right? Cloud, Aerith, Barrett, Tifa were sort of like, yeah, I love these guys, and obviously I really like Sid a lot, but I guess in the original runs, like Yuffie and Vincent and stuff. Like there weren't characters I usually went out and got, So like to really have Yuffie like be built out and like just to appreciate her quirks, with her singing all the time and her joking and in cutscenes you always see her sort of like messing around with Red, and or even like messing with Barrett and stuff. Like they just did such a good job of bringing these characters to life.
Yeah, like for someone who maybe is playing this for the first time without playing the original, you probably wouldn't even realize that Yuffie wasn't an optional character. Like you would be like, "What do you mean?" If somebody told them that you might play the entire original game and never even find her, that might blow people's minds that are playing this game, because she's such a central character. This one, even more than I ever thought it would be. Like I know when the Intergrade DLC came out and they introduced her and showed like you got to play as her and all that. I still didn't think she would be as big of a role in this game as she was, and then even the fact that you get her so early in the game too, like when you run into her in Junon, I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting to pick her up this early. But I'm glad they did, because yeah, like you said, the personality is terrific. Like it was just like the voice actor just nailed they all, like you said, they all were great, but I don't like Yuffie's voice actor might have been a standout for the game, I think.
Yeah, I think for me, like the two characters that I see in a new light, or maybe not necessarily a new light, but just like a wow, like I really, really appreciate these characters way more, is Yuffie and Red 13. I
Yeah.
liked, obviously Red 13's great. You get to sort of see his revelation in the original game with his father, and how he negatively thought about him. Then he sort of got to see what actually happened. And you get that again in this game, but just like between the him trying to act all tough with his voice, and then it opens up and it's like, oh, he's actually a kid who's just trying to gain some respect by not sounding like a child. It just, yeah, those characters just so good. And like you said, all of them are. I mean, the
Yeah.
game's amazing with the characters, but yeah, for me, those two really, I think, shined or shone. That shone, shined.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the word is. Those characters to me really, like I said, I see in just like a new appreciation for them, especially Red 13. Man, like, oh god, it's just so many sad moments with him in his past, and he's just such a trooper.
Yeah.
And I love when him and Barrett go into that cave, and like you sort of, I guess this was, previously, I guess we talked about this right at some point, but how like now Barrett never calls him Red 13 anymore, like because he knows, like, no, that's Nanaki, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's my guy. And I love that, like, they don't ever like specifically show Barrett like, oh, thinking this, but just like after that moment, he never calls him Red 13 again.
Yeah. Well, they know his name now, so they're going to call it by him. So
Now, is it Nanaki or Nanaki? Or Nanaki? I've heard Nanaki and I've heard Nanaki. I guess I
think it's
always go.
Nanaki.
Yeah, I usually go Nanaki, but I've heard
Yeah.
some videos where they people are calling him Nanaki.
I haven't
thought it
heard
was
that.
Nanaki.
It's either Nanaki or Nanaki,
Okay,
but
yeah,
I think it's Nanaki. But
that's what I've been doing, Nanaki.
yeah. So yeah, when they get to Nibelheim, I guess the whole point of them coming to Nibelheim was because they had known that they needed to find the black materia and that they needed to go to the Temple of the Ancients for that, because Kate Sith had mentioned that he had seen in the Shinra files somewhere that where the location was, and they needed to find a Shinra terminal so that they could actually figure out where the location was. And Kate Sith had recommended that they go to Nibel, as it was where the closest terminal was. So they get there, all the gas that, or at least Cloud and Tifa were shocked at the reconstruction. They've the black robe characters are all there because, like you said, it's the Mako poisoning trauma place. So they're working on researching them and that. And they get there and they find out that the terminal's locked because of the person that runs kind of the entire area. I don't even remember the reason they gave, but he's up at the reactor, so the team has to make the trek all the way back up to the reactor. So you redo the whole hike up the mountain from the beginning of the game, and obviously this time you're with the party, Cloud, Tifa, and I can't remember who the third person was. That I know Cloud and Tifa definitely went up. I can't remember if it was Yuffie or not, or if I got to choose who the third person was, but
Yeah, I feel like it might have been Yuffie, but
I definitely took Yuffie. I don't remember if it was by choice or if it was
you're
required, but
forced.
yeah. But this is where when they get up there too, I actually had forgotten until this second is when they're like halfway up the reactor. That's when Cloud remembers who Zack Fair is, because this is like the scene where Zack disappears
Mm.
in the introduction, or anyway, I guess this is where it's led on that the introduction was all like a false memory, because this is where they tell you like, oh, he was friends with Zack, and when they fell, it was Zack was the one that fell off the waterfall, and they don't know where he is or whatever. So, and then Cloud was like, shocked that he couldn't remember his friend, and Tifa was consoling him or whatever, and so they're I guess that was kind of the point of making them go up to the reactor, is so that he could have those memories, and then when they get there, they kind of relive some of the again, that introduction thing, and then find out that there's this false flag operation being set up where they're making it look like Wu Tai has massacred the Shinra soldiers in an attempt to restart the war between Shinra and Wu Tai.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if I just didn't pick up on it as much, or if it just wasn't really as prevalent in the original one. Just the war with Wu Tai in general. Like, obviously, I know like it was a thing. Obviously, Yuffie's from Wu Tai and all that stuff. But I feel like in the original game, they didn't really sort of like build up the whole war with Wu Tai as much. Like I said, maybe it was just me not picking up, but like maybe it was more subtle than it
Yeah.
was in this game. I obviously a little bit more in the forefront, but it is interesting to think, and I guess in the last part we'll talk about all the different theories with Sephiroth, and how he gains power and all that good stuff, and why a war might be a beneficial thing for him. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's me misremembering, or if it was like, oh, they've just sort of fleshed it out more, and it would make more sense, right? Like, they've pretty much taken everything from the original and sort of fleshed it out more in this game. So it wouldn't surprise me if I was just sort of not remembering as much.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, because even when like I had started replaying 7, and like it shocked me how fast I got through Midgar in the original.
Well,
And
yeah, I looked at how long to beat, and you could beat the original game in like 30 to 40 hours, like the
yeah,
entirety of it, and like we spent 90 on just Rebirth.
yes, right. So yeah, everything's definitely blown up for sure. Like the story is fleshed out massively. So, and yeah, so they get what they went there to get. There's like a key card that the supervisor had or whatever, that they have to come back into town to use the computer. And when they get back, Kate Sith realizes that the terminal that they're using in Nibelheim itself doesn't have the access, or doesn't have the information, so they have to head into the Shinra Manor. And of the 90 hours of this game, these 90 minutes or so were probably, this game is, like I said, one of the best, probably the best game so far in life. But
And
those
ever.
90 minutes definitely were not. They were the low point of the game to me, when they entered the manor and they get split up, and Kate Sith is required. You have to play as Kate Sith on your own, and you have to kind of get through the traps, and because Hojo has like all these traps and things set up in the manor, and Kate Sith has to get through the puzzly type areas to unlock the friends from the jail or whatever that the Hojo's got them in.
You mean you
And
don't like
oh
throwing
man,
boxes into a rotating
oh
thing
man,
so it could drop into one specific spot afterwards?
oh, excruciating. the elation of that 90 minutes being over was maybe that's what they were going for. They wanted you to be so down on playing as Kate Sith that by the time you finish, like the elation of finally
Playing
being
anyone
done,
else.
that is like one of the higher points of the game. But
It sucks too because like I absolutely love Kate Sith as a character in the story, right? Like
yeah,
I mean, first off, his design is super cute. With his little crown, his character, like I love the accent and it's great. But yeah, when it comes to actually playing him in combat, it's like, good Lord.
yeah,
Like, oh, who thought it'd be a good idea? You got to summon the Moogle before you could do it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, so
yeah.
I need to whack him with my stupid air horn for like 10 seconds to get my ATB up so I can then summon and granted, when you do summon them, like that ATB jumps right back up. So it feels like you get you summon them and then you can use a move pretty quickly, another ability. But yeah, definitely my least, well, him and Aerith are my least favorite to use. And like Aerith, at least like you could wrap your head around it. She's just so like slow.
Yeah.
At least for me, she was. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Kate Sith
no.
was just cumbersome, like especially when because he doesn't move right, like compared to other characters. Like when you're playing as like the cat, like you're mostly like rolling because he moves so slow, and then when you're the Moogle, he moves even slower, but he's kind of like
Bumbling, yeah.
yeah, this like wiggle, and it was just like, oh my god, like it's just this is the last time I ever want to play with him this game, which
I want to know
is
if there are any monsters out there that were like when they were just using normal characters, like, yeah, give me Kate Sith
yeah.
as one of my three.
If you're mainlining as Kate Sith throughout this game, I don't know what's wrong with you.
You're an animal, and this is coming from a Jets fan and a Maple Leafs fan. We're masochists, and we would never want to use Kate Sith.
Yeah, no, it was when that was done. That was it for me. But the good thing is that Shinra Manor didn't end on a low. When you finally get through all the traps and Hojo finally leaves you alone, the ending of the manor is pretty badass because they get into the basement where the terminal is, and this is where we finally get Vincent's introduction. So the iconic opening of a coffin scene, which is always like, I don't know, I can't imagine in any life of seeing a coffin and thinking like, I wonder what's in that coffin.
Yeah, let me open that sucker. Yeah, in the
Yeah,
bottom of this abandoned Shinra thing where we
yeah,
know weird stuff has been going on.
yeah. We just finished fighting this mutated corpsey thing with two heads. But yeah, let's see what's inside this coffin because I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, it's did you ever get Vincent in the original game?
Uh, if I did, it was like
By
decades
accident.
ago because I certainly have not in any recent time.
Yeah, it's funny because I think when I played it originally back in the day, I've played Final Fantasy a bunch of times the back day and never like finished it, but I know I never got him. And then like I do remember Yuffie, right? Because I remember like going in to like the woods and like you would encounter her in like certain areas. But yeah, Vincent, I never ever got Vincent. So this is really my first experience with him as a character, and I'm excited to see how he's going to be in battle
Yeah.
next game. Like I'm really excited for that because I do like his character design is super cool.
Yeah, and like I mostly just knew him, and I own the game and haven't played it yet. But from Dirge of Cerberus, like I know
Mm.
the backstory of him. Like he was a former Turk, and kind of like the backstory with Sephiroth and that sort of thing. But yeah, like his design in this game just nails it. And it's clear like he's gonna have like some kind of gun based attack, which will be pretty neat. So yeah, I think, and we had talked about this before, but if if there's a DLC that comes out between games like last time with Intergrade, I feel like Vincent Valentine might be the like the focus of this DLC. Like there might be, I don't know if there. I was thinking like it's like they can't really do his backstory as DLC because that'd be weird because then it'd be like,
There's
oh,
already
here's a
a game, right?
remake of Dirge Cerberus.
Honestly, though, knowing Square, they'd be the mad lads that would be like, let's put a remake of that game inside Part 3.
Yeah. So
We don't have enough content.
yeah, so I don't know. Maybe that happens, but
See, I don't. Well, I guess this might be a tiny little spoiler, and it's skip ahead a minute, I guess, but I really don't think it is that big of a spoiler. Especially if you've listened to the game this to all of our coverage this far. But essentially, right, hold on, skip right now if you need it. We don't go to Rocket Town in this game, and yet we've got Sid, right? So
yeah.
I'm sort of wondering if maybe the DLC might be sort of like it's weird though because I guess like obviously normally we meet Sid in Rocket Town with the gang, you know, but I wonder if maybe they do a DLC where like it's Rocket Town and we're doing Sid stuff in that area, you know, or if they're just decide to move Rocket Town to Part 3 for some reason. But I feel like in the timeline we should have gone to Rocket Town in this game.
Yeah, we should have. Like, we shouldn't have Sid, and Sid is like a completely different Sid from.
I know, yeah, he's like a nice. I need more crotchety, angry man. You know.
Yeah.
I need my 35-year-old guy who's had enough of life.
Yeah, the 35-year-old guy, yeah, who's been beaten down and has no will to live left.
But I wonder if they
smoking those darts like they're going out of business.
He's like a 5-pack a day guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe it's my hope because I love Sid so much that maybe the DLC might be like a Rocket Town inspired situation. But it's got to be focused around Sid or Vincent. You know, you would think, especially like how with Integrate, you know, we got Yuffie as a playable character in the DLC, and then she became main part of our party. I feel like that would be sort of a similar line. Like, all right, let's get the DLC, one of the or flesh out the play style for one of these two characters because they're obviously going to be joining more full time in the final part. But yeah, it should be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm curious if because there was a bit of a hint with Sid and Aerith when Sid had mentioned that he knew Aerith's mother. Like, I wonder there's a possibility that maybe we'll get a new backstory for Sid that involves the mother. Like maybe the DLC is like how they met or what happened between them or something like that.
Sid is actually Aerith's dad.
Oh, that would be a wild.
That would be, but like they don't make a big deal out of it. It's just like a little throwaway line, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
New lore.
She's only half Citron because Sid is the father. That would be
half Citra, half Sid.
And then Sid only finds out that he's the father. Like now that she's supposedly passed away.
Yeah, retroactively, he's like, son of a gun.
Yeah, I wish I had to talk to her more.
Yeah. He's like, I guess I'm gonna have to fasten the tiny Bronco with some sort of time device.
Yeah. But yeah, so that Vincent Valentine fight is insane. Well, and that's the other thing is like in the third game is Vincent's like is he going to have some kind of special move where he turns into the werewolf and just goes bananas? Like that'd be pretty awesome if that was one of his big moves. It was the werewolf conversion.
That would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
And then especially if there was like a synergy with Red 13.
Yeah, the duel.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
They'd both like somehow go out there and the pack of wolves go.
Yeah, I was gonna say a wolf pack attack. That fight was actually pretty hard too. Like it took me a couple goes to get that one done. Like you really have to. I think you have to focus on hitting him with fire and able to really hurt him. From my recollection of that fight, but that whole scene was pretty cool. Like especially when Cloud goes back into the room. Like everything is triggered when Cloud goes into the room where he was experimented on, and kind of starts to lose his mind a bit again. And then Vincent walks in. He's like, "I told you not to go in there,
you big idiot." Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I just love how throughout this entire game, it's just like Cloud is just battling it with him, like himself and the Mako and
Yeah.
like the unreliable narrative, the narrator, like where
Yeah.
it's like, can we really even trust what Cloud's seeing and hearing half the time? Because like man is going through it right now.
Yeah. He's on a tightrope of insanity.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, so the fight, it's funny because the fight ends and then they're like, hey, do you want to come with us? And he's like, no, I'm going back to bed.
Yeah. And you see the coffin close.
Yeah. He thinks about it for a second and then he's like, no, screw it. I'm going back to sleep. And then he throws the coffin on there. And then, the party leaves and a pretty neat, it's funny because you have this like great big battle with Vincent and then you don't even get 10 seconds out of the manor and jacked up Roche reappears.
Good old Roche, dude.
Yeah, so we're not exactly sure what Hojo did to him, but Roche had gone to Hojo and volunteered for some kind of experiment because he knew he was no match for Cloud. And so Hojo jacked him up with something. And so again, that fight too was a little on the harder side because you only get to fight as Cloud. Like he lone wolfs this one. He's like, no, I got this, guys. And so there, I know you definitely need to do some. I guess there's. I'm trying to think of exactly how there was a way to beat him. I think you had to wait for him to attack a certain way, and then you could hit him or something like that. But I felt bad for Roche when when you finally defeat him and Cloud shows like some remorse or whatever, and he's like, I don't need your pity, and then he like turns into a robed because the Mako is finally taking him over.
Yeah, it hit the point of degradation where you like lose yourself, I guess, at that point. Yeah, good old Roche, dude. It's one of those like you weren't exactly expecting to see him at that point. It's like, all right, let's do this thing. And it's just funny, like Hojo gives me such like connections to like Resident Evil vibes, right? Where it's like, let me just inject these dudes with all this Mako and make them crazy and like bio weapons, essentially.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to see that sort of, I guess, and not really a connection, but sort of parallels, and especially like since they're both, originally PlayStation games, and they're both, I love both those franchises, so maybe it's just me connecting the two, but man, Hojo's the real son of a gun, right? Like,
well, I was gonna say, like he's almost like the secret villain in this game because they're really playing him up as a bigger role in my eyes, like especially when. I mean, we'll probably talk about it more in the next episode in the final scenes, but
the Black Materia scene.
Yeah, because like when he's riding, like when they're helicoptering into the Temple of the Ancients and Roche, or not Roche,
Shinra,
Rufus. He's he's in the helicopter with Hojo, and Hojo's just like just laughing like a crazy, like he's like got Joker vibes with his like laughing or whatever, and Rufus is like, what do you find so funny? And he's like, and Hojo, like there's something that Hojo knows that the rest of them don't. And yeah, he keeps popping in and causing all this havoc or whatever, and with everything with like the Red 13 and Aerith, like with the experiments on them, like they're really playing him up as almost like a dual threat with Sephiroth. Like Sephiroth is clearly the villain of the game, but Hojo is a pretty close number two.
He's right there. I mean, if you think about it, he's the creator of the enemy, right? Like he essentially made Sephiroth. And again, I guess like a little bit of spoilers for the final part. And I feel like if you're listening to this part, you've probably beat the game.
Yeah.
Like after the Black Materia does its thing at towards the end of the game, right? And like, Rufus is like, what do you take of what we just saw, Hojo? And he's like, I think we need to expand our scope, essentially, right? Like he's like, I think we need to think bigger. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if Hojo knows about the many different timelines going on at this point, but I think he might have an idea,
Yeah.
And then you think of like other characters that like might, because obviously Aerith knows, right? She knows that there's multiple timelines. Same with Sephiroth.
Hmm.
And then it's like, does Hojo? You thought like Bugenhagen might have an idea, but he did not, or did not
Well,
allude to us at all.
yeah, Bugenhagen kind of took a back seat in this one because I don't even remember seeing him very like he's around, but like his biggest role is in Junon when Rufus gets attacked, and then you don't really see him as much.
Yeah, I thought maybe he might like.
Oh, sorry, Bugenhagen. I'm thinking Bugenhagen is the guy on the orb.
Yeah, Naniki's guy. Who are you thinking
I
of?
was about Bugenhagen. I was thinking of the army guy who's not Bugenhagen, but he's got a weird name.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I can't. I'm so bad with names usually, but Bugenhagen has such a great name that it's hard to forget his.
Yeah,
And a great character design, right? Very Dragon Ball Z-esque.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like, so yeah, you thought with him, right? Since he knows of the Sentra and all that stuff, like maybe he would have a deeper knowledge. But it really shows you very few people know about the different timelines and this and that. And I guess we do learn that Red 13 knows something of this as well, right? Which is so funny. I know I keep bleeding into final game stuff or the last section stuff, but when you go on the date with him, it's crazy the information you glean from that date, and it's probably 90% of the people will never see that unless they go on YouTube,
Yeah.
to like look at it afterwards. That he could see the future also at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they like you said, like most people are probably like those dates are. I would say 90 or more would probably 90% or more people would be either with Tifa, Aerith, or Barrett. And just
Yeah,
by the fact that you're with them for more of the game and you're probably doing their side quests more and stuff. Like, yeah, like I can't imagine too many people maxed out Red 13 before anyone else.
yeah, or yeah, unless if they were like specifically targeting like sort of like how we were making sure we got Tifa.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you were really targeting Red. Yeah, to get his. And like I said, yeah, I went and watched all of the date scenes, and I'm sure we'll talk more about all those at the next episode.
Yeah.
But
And I don't know what monster was mainline in Kate Sith to get that date scene.
although I tell you what, that was so funny.
Yeah.
The boys.
It was such like a Three Stooges skit.
Now I don't know for sure, but I heard that you might not actually be able to get that scene on the first playthrough.
Oh, that's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like because essentially you can go with Kate Sith Red, Kate Sith Sid and Vincent and Cloud.
Yeah.
Like the boys' night out to Loveless and the
Yeah.
Ferris wheel. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I actually heard that one. Like, yeah, you need to on a second go around, which would make more sense because yeah, obviously those are all tertiary characters in compared to the other ones.
Yeah, I don't think there's as many opportunities to level up the relationship with Kate, so
Thank God.
yeah.
Like I said, I like his character, but man, I do not want to play like him and Aerith are my two. It's like I think I said I think I joked to you like, won't they just kill Aerith off already? I'm sick of using her in combat.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good segue for the next episode that we'll be talking about when we get into that final battle. So,
I guess real quick before we go, how did you feel about the proto relic in this zone? I thought this one was cool, right? You're sort of going around following, like there's packs of the robed men, and you're sort of like, you're inspecting like what's going on here, and then it would pretty much like you'd follow them, and essentially each, I think, pretty sure each like quest ended with just more like a straightforward battle.
yeah.
Like you'd go find them, like follow them, and then you go find where they went and kill an enemy. So it felt pretty like I guess middle of the way in terms of the proto relics. Like it wasn't like a super memorable like, oh, these ones were so much fun, but they weren't tedious like some of the other ones with some of like the poopy mini games. But But yeah, I thought it was like a pretty middle of the road, but I liked following and sort of seeing how it all played out.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I guess the second. Well, it's funny because it's the last region, but it's the second to last proto relic because at this point you still can't get the Corel one, so the Corel one just defaults to be the last one. But yeah, and it's neat watching the proto relic quests like as you get the more cutscenes as you collect them and stuff, and I think it's pretty neat that Gilgamesh is the
Yeah.
is the character because it's like I remember him like he's not a lot of people have probably played Final Fantasy V, so they probably like it'd be curious to see how many people know of Gilgamesh, and I know him mostly. And I'm pretty sure it's the same voice actor that they used in the World of Final Fantasy game, which I'm not sure how many people played that one. So it was, and it was funny because I just recently played it, so it was kind of fresh in my mind. So to see that character, like the personality, the voice actor, like it was all like straight out of World of Final Fantasy. So it was just kind of funny to me. But
And I'm pretty
yeah.
sure he is in whatchamacallit, in Final Fantasy 14.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's in the gold saucer, I think, or maybe I'm forgetting. Like, I'm pretty sure. Let me see, because I know there was like a mini game in the gold saucer in 14 where it's like you gotta avoid like chops and stuff, and like it's like you're bouncing around. I think he's in there, but either way, his music is so good. I love I love the Gilgamesh music.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
for
I,
sure.
I wonder. I mean, probably not anytime super recent or super soon, but I should go back. I never. Essentially, when you finish all the proto relics, you open up sort of, I guess, like a boss rush area, or not necessarily boss rush, but a gauntlet of bosses you got to go finish. And I tried the one, and yeah, it just destroyed me. And I was like, oh, this is definitely something you probably need to actually uh, fine tune your characters like materia and weapons and sort of build out. But
Yeah.
yeah. Now you said obviously he's from 5. Isn't his like sort of shtick that he can sort of like travel in between worlds or time frames or something, or am I making that up? Like I thought maybe in the lore somewhere, like it is sort of like oh yeah, he's got that ability to sort of like bounce between worlds.
It might be. I can't
I might be
even.
making that up.
Yeah, I can't remember the role. I remember he had like he was a villain in 5, but he was kind of like a goofy one. I think he was like the right hand man to the main bad guy, but he kept screwing up, and I think he ends up becoming. There's like he has this rivalry with the main character Bart's, and but I think that they kind of come to like a mutual respect by the end of the game.
Mm. Cause yeah, I've got his wiki, the wiki up here, and it's like appearances in Final Fantasy 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12,
Oh man, I didn't realize he was in that many games.
Revenant Wings, 13, 13, 2, 14, 15, Type 0, Dimensions 2.
Oh
so
jeez,
so whether
he's been
he
around.
yeah, so obviously a lot of these might just be smaller sort of things, but yeah, he definitely makes an appearance in quite a few games here.
Okay.
Yeah, a recurring character initially introduced as the antagonist in 5, appears in a number of other titles since and added in remakes, yada yada yada. His role varies, sometimes ally, optional boss, summoned monster, or all of these things. So
Yeah.
yeah, some of those might be a summoned monster
Yeah,
appearance.
because I
Yeah.
think there was I feel like there was like an Esper or something that, or yeah, like a summon in the
Yeah.
earlier game.
But yeah, so he's definitely that's what I love about like games like Final Fantasy where it's like there's so many of them and like most of them don't connect, but then you get to see like different iterations of characters that recur but are different in each game. I sort of
Yeah,
love when series can do that.
yeah, exactly. Well, I think that'll bring us to the end of our Nibel region. So it's like I said, the second to last one. We got one more left.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. Yeah, having lots of fun. We're both finished the game at this point, but it's nice to talk it out. We get to at least have those vibes for a little bit longer, even though the game itself might be over.
Yep. Yeah, and like I said, I found a newfound respect for you trying to remember all these zones after you beat them months ago. I was lucky for the most part that we would just record one when I was more or less close to finishing it. So it has been a couple. I guess I beat it last week as of recording, but yeah, Nibel was probably like 2-ish weeks ago, and I'm struggling to remember things. So yeah, kudos to you on that one.
Yep. Well, I don't think we'll have too much trouble in the next episode remembering that wild ending. So
no, and if we could talk about Nibel for 50 minutes, God help us when it comes to the end here.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to thank everyone for keeping on this roller coaster ride of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And yeah, we're near the end now, folks. So one more to go.
Woo-wee. And then we wait till the DLC comes out so we can bust out as many episodes as we can on the DLC.
Yeah, we'll see how many we can milk then. Yeah.
It's funny. We'll have to see. I guess we're going to end up with 9 episodes or something on 7 here.
Yeah.
So, and I forgot how many episodes we're up to on the feed on the podcast, but it's going to be like 5% of our episodes are on Rebirth or something something silly like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then if you look at all Final Fantasy, it even gets higher. So.
Oh yeah. We're rebranding to the Final Fantasy podcast.
If Square Enix wants to send that that advertising money, that I wouldn't say no.
They're like, no, if Rebirth didn't meet expectations.
Yeah, we lost money. We don't have any to give you.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true, but hopefully their expectations were just super duper high, and that's
my guess. Get that PC port out, and then they'll get the money.
Oh yeah, I've been trying to get my sister. She doesn't have PlayStation. I was like, you got to get Integrate on Steam, dude. Like, it's so good. Yeah,
and the Rebirth will be on Steam probably a year from now, I'm thinking. So.
Yeah, I wonder. Well, didn't Integrate was like the first release for PC, right? Like, I don't think they released I think.
Well, a remake. I think on Steam, Remake and Integrate came out together.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. So I wonder in a year if we'll get the DLC for PS5, and then then it'll get full port for.
Yeah, I would guess, because I remember when it came out, I was like, do I just buy Remake again on PC with Integrate, or do I get it on PlayStation? And I ended up just getting the PlayStation.
Yeah, DLC, but I've got a pretty decent computer, that would probably play it pretty nicely, but I'm pretty sure my PS5 is going to look nicer, especially when you could play on 4K TV.
Yeah, exactly. So, alrighty. Well, I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see everyone out for the big finale.
Bring your tissues for that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Those trials, bro.
Oh no. Bye.